Write a poem on the inside of your shoe so no one finds out about it.
If you thought Welcome to Derry was done breaking hearts after episode 1, think again. Episode 3 might have just dropped one of the most chilling, heartbreaking hints in the entire series. And most viewers didn't even realize it. Beneath all the Easter eggs, nods to Stephen King's universe, and hauntingly subtle dialogue, there's a hidden detail that practically screams one thing. Richie is next. And not just next. His death might become one of the most emotionally devastating moments in the series so far. Now, let's rewind for a second. Because Welcome to Derry isn't just a prequel, it's a psychological trap disguised as a nostalgia trip. The show has been cleverly tying itself to the greater Stephen King multiverse. We've already seen nods to The Shining with the younger Dick Halloran, and even early setups that could link to Dreamcatcher. But this isn't just a King Easter egg hunt. The series is doing something deeper. It's using those connections to manipulate us, to build trust before it destroys it. Remember the first episode? The way it started with that eerie musical in the theater, lighthearted for just a few minutes, before everything took a sharp turn. That opening scene was the show's way of saying, "You're not safe here." The same movie that began the episode ended it, but instead of applause, it ended in blood. A theater that should have been a place of laughter turned into a grave. And out of all those kids, only Ronnie and Lily crawled out alive. That brutal moment set the tone for Welcome to Derry. This is not Stranger Things. This is not about friendship saving the day or the power of love defeating the monster. This is about fear. The kind of fear that Stephen King built his empire on, the fear of childhood innocence crushed by something unspeakable. And that's exactly where episode 3 quietly sets its trap. And now you see it, Richie and Will share a conversation that, on the surface, seems innocent, even awkwardly funny. Richie teases Will, suggesting that he must have a crush on Ronnie. But beneath that playful tone, something else is happening. This isn't Richie making fun of his friend. It's projection. Richie is deflecting his own feelings, using humor to mask something deeper, his affection for Marge. It's one of those small, very human moments that Welcome to Derry does so well. A blink and you miss it piece of dialogue that reveals vulnerability, insecurity, and maybe even love. But then Richie drops a line that changes everything. He says,
Write a poem on the inside of your shoe so no one finds out about it.
Someone in love might write poems inside their shoes so no one would ever find them. Now pause there. That's not a random comment. That's too specific. It's not something a kid just makes up on the spot. That's something you say when you've actually done it. And that's the moment fans should have felt a chill crawl down their spine. Because if there's one thing Stephen King's storytelling has taught us, it's this. Small details are never small. This line is the perfect example of what writers call Chekhov's gun. If a gun appears in the first act, it's going to be fired by the third. In this case, Richie's shoe poem is the gun. He's unknowingly marked himself for death, and the very thing that symbolizes his secret love will be the thing that identifies his body when Pennywise finally gets to him. Think about it. In It, Chapter 2, the victims are almost always identified by personal items, something that represents their childhood, their personality, or their last moment of innocence. A balloon, a toy, a piece of clothing. These are not just props. They're symbols of identity, of humanity, left behind after the monster takes them. Richie's shoe poem fits that pattern perfectly. It's his private world, his heart literally hidden inside something ordinary, something only he knows about. When that shoe eventually shows up, we'll know exactly what it means, and exactly who we've lost. And if you think this is just fan speculation, let's look at the math of the story so far.
Ronnie Grogan? What does she want with you?
By episode 3, Pennywise has already made his presence felt among most of the main kids. Lily encountered him in the grocery store, a scene that still makes my skin crawl, especially when the lights flickered and her reflection didn't quite move right. Ronnie's been haunted too. She saw Pennywise in her own bedroom, disguised as a twisted, mocking version of her mother. Both girls have been targeted. Both have seen the clown up close, but both survived. For now. Marge, on the other hand, is drifting away from the group, trying to fit in with the patty cakes. That distance might actually be the only thing saving her for the moment. That leaves Richie and Will. Now Will is off limits. He has plot armor, plain and simple. We know Will Hanlon has to survive because he grows up to become Mike's father, and Mike is central to the It movies. he's part of the loser's club legacy. The story can't kill him. So if Pennywise needs another victim to raise the stakes, who's left? Richie. And here's where it gets really dark and brilliant. Richie's the comic relief. He's funny, he's awkward, he's that one character who gives the group heart. Killing him off wouldn't just hurt. It would shatter the balance of the show. It would remind the audience that no one is safe, not even the ones who make us laugh. And if you've been paying attention, Welcome to Derry already established that exact precedent in the very first episode. Remember Phil Malkin? Another lighthearted kid, another small burst of comic energy, brutally killed. This show is sending a message. This is horror, not comfort. Killing Richie wouldn't just be tragic. It would deepen the emotional rot underneath Derry itself. The idea that innocence and joy are the first things to die here. And here's the twisted genius of it. Richie's death would echo the original It story on multiple levels. You see, one of the emotional through lines of both It movies is Ben's secret love poem to Beverly. That poem, "Your hair is winter fire," is one of the franchise's most famous moments. It represents hope, vulnerability, and love that outlives fear. It's a small act of beauty in a world ruled by horror. Now imagine if Welcome to Derry mirrors that, but inverts it. Instead of a love poem symbolizing connection and survival, Richie's hidden poem becomes a symbol of loss, a beautiful secret turned tragic evidence. That's poetic storytelling symmetry, and it's exactly what this show has been building toward. Let's not forget that Welcome to Derry is deliberately darker than its predecessors. It's not constrained by the structure of the original It movies. It's expanding the mythos, giving us space to see the town's corruption at a slower, more psychological pace. Every episode deepens that sense that Pennywise isn't just a monster. He's an infection, a reflection of Derry's rot. He feeds on fear, but he also manipulates love, guilt, and memory. Richie's poem being found after his death would be Pennywise's cruelest trick, yet turning love into a weapon of grief. And the writers know exactly what they're doing. Episode 3's title, Now You See It, is itself a taunt. It's about magic, illusion, misdirection. The idea that what you think you're seeing isn't the whole story. Richie's shoe poem is the perfect example of that theme. It's a tiny line that hides a much bigger truth, a promise that we'll see it later, when it's far too late. The brilliance of Welcome to Derry is how it plays with our expectations. It knows that fans come in with decades of lore, expecting certain deaths, certain survivors, but by killing off kids who shouldn't die yet, like in episode 1, and by hinting at fate through emotional details like Richie's poem, it keeps us constantly off balance. That unpredictability is what separates this show from Stranger Things. Both stories feature a group of kids facing supernatural evil. Both mix nostalgia with horror. But Welcome to Derry is what happens when the safety net is ripped away. Stranger Things flirts with danger. Welcome to Derry commits to it. Over the years, Stranger Things became famous and criticized for refusing to kill major young characters. Sure, we've lost a few beloved side characters, Bob, Billy, Eddie, but the core group always walks away. It's comforting, yes, but it also reduces the stakes.